Overall crime is down in America and in the South Bronx too. But drug use, the drug supply, it's plentiful. If we're waging a war, it's hard to see how we're winning.
Next, reefer madness.
You're crazy. Take it easy, kid.
The movie, the myth, and the truth when we return.
Who the first American?
War on drugs, a war on ourselves, continues. Once again, John Stossel.
We know the terrible things drugs can do. We've seen the despair, the sunken face of the junkie. No wonder those in government say, we've got to stop that. We have to fight drugs.
This is what happens to your brain after snorting heroin.
The government-subsidized ads are a vivid reminder of what drugs can do to people and their families.
This is what your family goes through, and your friends.
Polls show most Americans agree drug use should be illegal.
Any questions?
Or as former drug czar Bill Bennett put it,
this is a deadly and poisonous activity. It should be against the law. People should be imprisoned for long periods of time for doing it. It's a matter of right and wrong.
But when right and wrong conflict with supply and demand, nasty things happen. Government declaring drugs illegal doesn't mean people can't get them. It just means they get them on the black market, where they pay much more for them.
The only reason that coke is worth that much money is that it's illegal. Pure cocaine is 3 times the cost of gold. Now, if that's the case, how are you going to stop people from selling cocaine?
Father Joseph Kane is a priest in that Bronx neighborhood we saw earlier.
Peace, my brother. God bless you.
He's come to believe that while drug abuse is bad, drug prohibition is worse, because the black market does horrible things to his community.
There's so much money in it. I mean, it's staggering.
The war on drugs designed to help Americans has had 3 unintended consequences. First, it sucks children into the underworld. Second, it corrupts cops. And third, it creates crime. Let's take them in order.
We are recruiting children in the Bronx, in barrios, and all over the nation because of drug money.
Judge James Gray is a Superior Court judge in Orange County, California, who spent years locking drug dealers up. But now he's concluded it's pointless, because drug prohibition makes the drugs so absurdly valuable.
The money to be made from the sale of illegal drugs is a bigger problem than the drugs themselves.
Judge Gray drove with us through Father Kane's neighborhood.
Why should a kid in this neighborhood work in this corner grocery when he can make 5 times the amount of money in an afternoon selling drugs?
Is that right? Is the money that good?
Yeah. That's how I started out. I saw all the things that the drug money was getting other people.
These young men, now ex-cons, say they were sucked into the drug trade by their local role models, the dealers. They were the cool people in the neighborhood?
Yeah, that people looked up to.
You see somebody, you know, they got a fancy car, and they got nice jewelry, and all the girls are after them, you know, and you just get that, you know, that mentality that that's the right thing to do.
What guy would look for a job if you can make $300 a night? I mean, it's almost un-American to say, I can make this much money, but I'm not going to do it.
It's economics 1A. The drug money is corrupting our children. It is corrupting our law enforcement officers.
Corrupt cops. That's the second unintended consequence of drug prohibition. Cops like these are seduced by drug money. They have been for years.
While you were in uniform and on duty, did you commit thefts?
Yeah.
What would you steal?
Money and drugs.
Money and drugs. The temptation's so huge.
100, 200, 3, 4, 5.
Here, the man on the right, a San Antonio cop, waits to be paid after delivering what he was told was 20 pounds of cocaine. His take is $3,000.
$3,000. God dang it, man.
He eagerly scoops up the money.
With all of the money, with all the cash, it's easy then to purchase police officers, to purchase prosecutors, to purchase judges.
This drug dealer used to make $20,000 a weekend with the help of the police. So the cops know and just...
Of course, how else are you going to exist? It's not like it's a big covert operation. It's out in the open. The cops are just another gang.
Most of the time when you dealt, you had some cops on your payroll?
Of course.
The third and probably worst unintended consequence is the drug crime. Films like Reefer Madness have told us people take drugs and just go crazy.
You're crazy. Take it easy, kid.
But think about it. In reality, do people go crazy, get violent because they're high on drugs? Rarely.
Most of our violence comes from the fact that it's illegal.
The violence happens because dealers arm themselves and have shootouts over turf.
An innocent bystander is hit during a shootout.
And the violence happens because addicts steal to pay the high prices for drugs. Nicotine is about as addictive as cocaine or heroin, but no one's knocking over 7-Elevens to get Marlboros or Budweiser.
Most people are not afraid of the legal pushers. They're not afraid of the supermarkets selling alcohol. I don't see them shooting each other. But if you make the substance illegal, they will use violence because there's no other way of handling the problem.
That's what happened in the 1920s when government made alcohol illegal.
For 13 years, the idiocy continued.
It was alcohol prohibition that gave rise to criminals like Al Capone.
Gangsterism was a natural sequel, and battles for exclusive territories erupted with a violence unparalleled in the history of law enforcement.
The people who were against alcohol were sincere, I suspect. But they didn't see the implications. We know the implications in the year 2002. We know that prohibition doesn't work for alcohol. Why would it work for anything else?
The profits from today's drug prohibition now fund terrorism. The State Department says that's how bin Laden got some of his money.
It's the money that's really causing the problems here. The drugs are dangerous without question, but the drug money is turning a disease into a plague.
Next, America's ferocious effort to cut the drug connection at its source.
How much do you stop?
What we're doing is increasing the risk to the traffickers.
Is this a way of saying that we don't stop much?
When John Stossel continues.
The drug war, say critics, is not just a war on our own people. It's a war on other people, mostly poor people who live in countries that produce our drugs. The United States spends billions trying to keep drugs out of America. But no matter how much we spend, or how many special police units are trained and equipped, or how many drug shipments police disrupt or intercept,
okay,
it's had little impact on the amount of drugs found on America's streets. They keep coming. This videotape was made by an American drug buyer as he received a home delivery.
Take it on home to Grandma. It was a perfect drop. Put it right in the middle of the strip.
So where do most of these drugs come from? Here, in Colombia, South America. This is a coca plant. It grows everywhere here. It's like a weed. The opium poppies are growing over there. Colombia produces most of America's heroin and most of its cocaine. The coca plants are cultivated by farmers like these men who carve out fields in the remote jungle. Every 4 months or so, they strip the plants of their leaves and use a weed whacker to shred them. Then they squeeze a juice out of the leaves, which this farmer refined into coca powder. It took him about a third of a year to produce a pound of it. What will he get for that?
It's worth approximately $2,200.
They don't know exactly how much they'll get until they go by horseback or walk, sometimes for days in the jungle, until they get to remote marketplaces like this one. Growing coca and selling cocaine's illegal in Colombia, but here drug traffickers openly bid for the farmers' products. Rebel soldiers who control this area keep watch as the bartering begins. Weight and purity are checked. This bag of powder, once made into cocaine, will be worth about $250,000 on the streets of America. Now, these people know that some Americans may abuse their product. They know it's against the law. Why are you still growing coca?
For me and any other peasant in the region, it's impossible to substitute what we make growing coca.